Let us start this lecture with a thought process that agriculture is the true culture of Indian civilization. You must recall, which I had told earlier, that Indian civilization is the only living civilization from time immemorial, right? Most of the other old civilizations are dead, because we consider agriculture is very important. And in the last lecture, if you recall, that we discussed about how our ancestors were started cultivating. I related to the story of the narrative of Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, who is also known as Haldar. Hal means plow. And beside this, we also looked at various tools, like starting from the digging tool, stick, to the hoe, then various kinds of hoes, axes, and lot of other tools we looked at. But if you could recall well, that we are discussing about plow. Plow is very important, and which was invented, according to me, in this country long time back, of course, as far as our narrative goes on. And so we will have to look at how precisely it is given about the design of a plow in Krishi Parasar. And if you look at different parts have given, and one is yuga in English, but it is a yoke, basically ear shaped yoke, right? Sorry, yuga in Sanskrit, but it is ear shaped yoke, that is known as Kanna Samanka, right? And there is a Adakala, and which is basically pins of the yoke, and which is around 12 angulas, means 9 inches kind of things, for tying the bullocks. This terminology, let me introduce you. After that, we will see each one of them and corresponding to the figure, so that it will be very clear to you. Isa is basically pole of a plow, which is around something 5 cubit long. In meter, if you convert, it is 2.25 meter, as 1 cubit is around 0.45 meter. We had also looked at this unit conversion in the last lecture. And Nirola, or you can call it Niriola, the plow proper without plowshare, and which is around something 0.7 meter, and Sola, that is or Sola you can say, an extra piece of wood tightly fixed, which is used to fix the Nirola to the pole. And Nirola Pasika is another component of the plow, that is basically a plate that fixes the plow's hair to the Nirola, which is around 22 centimeter kind of things. And Halastanu, it is basically, hala means plow and stanu means you will have to hold it, and the strong piece of wood fixed to Nirola at the end of opposite to the plow's hair it is given, which is around 1.1 meter. And there is a abandha, a iron cylindrical rod or sometime wood peg also being used, that prevents the Nirola from falling out of the pole. And Yoktra is basically a rope which is being used for tying the yoke, right, kind of things. And Phala is the main thing which will be tearing the soil whenever the plowing is being done. And if you look at earlier days, people were using this phala or the plowshare made of wood. In the last lecture we had seen around 800 to 1000 BCE people started using iron for this plowshare, right, in India. And of course, this is the some of the things figures. If you look at this is your this plowshare is not being shown here, but the share body is given, and this is your beam, which we call it as a basically Isa or the pole, and this is the hand grip or the halastanu. So, this is a pictures what I am showing you that this is being done together, that means there is a plowing going on and also the broadcasting of seeds, both are going on together in this figure. And what I was talking about, how to, this is the basically the yoke, right, and this is your yoke beam, and this is, there is a peg which will be connected so that this ox can be tied properly, this way, and there is of course this yoke is connected to the isa, that is the pole, with the wear here, and sometimes you can have a joint with a rod also, iron being used nowadays particularly. And if you look at this figure, here it is a design is little more kind of constraint for the ox, but here there is a design which is in between these two wooden rod, you can say, the ox will be moving, right. It is, there is a flexibility, and it is being used also rope, and you can observe from here there is a wooden plank which is there on which the man is sitting, standing, sorry, man is standing. So, why it is so? What is the purpose of this? That might be coming into your mind. We will discuss as you go along. So, this is the, as I told, the yoke is basically a wooden cross piece that is fastened over the neck of the oxen, two oxen, and attached to the plow or a cart, because we can use for plowing, and also you can use this yoke with the help of oxen. We can also drive the cart for the transportation purposes. So, yuga, if you look at, this is basically this shape is ear shaped yoke, like this is the, you can say, kanna samanka, and adakala, which is a basically this one, but I will show in the next slide maybe that this is can be used, two wooden rod can be used, that is also known as the color, which is around 12 angulas or 9 inches, right, and this is used for tying the bullock, right, or you can say ox being used, right. So, if you look at, this is the other color which was being basically used, this is the one, and there will be another one. If you look at, there is a hole here, right, and there will be another portion which you can put into this rod, and then you can in between this portion that ox can be placed, and you can use some wear here, the rope can be here to there, and so that you can use that way. So, the same things, but it is designed differently. This is more flexible than that of the things what we had used, and there are several varieties of this you can get in India. That is the beauty of that, for the same purpose various design will be available, which will be varying from one region to another. And isa, if you look at, is the pole of the plow, and which is around 2.25 meter, this is the isa what is having. It can be made of wood, it can be made of bamboo as well, right, people have used, and depending upon what is available. And according to me, bamboo may be little better off because it is lighter and the load will be less, and it is also the rigidity, I mean like little flexible also, that is the one part, and it is having a better life, it can take more load as such, and it will be cheaper as compared to wood even at this moment of time. So, therefore, that can be used, that is being used by the various people, but not in all places in this country, because bamboo is being grown in some place, and those places it is being used. Nerola is the plow proper without plow share. So, if you look at this is the Nerola, right, and which is around this portion, if you look at 0.7 meter, this portion, like if you look at, this is the portion which will be Nerola kind of thing. There is another portion which is there in this place, and without plow share, right. Plow share is this one, I will show you. This is Nirola. I think this figure is better. This is the one piece, right, one piece here like that it goes, and of course this is your plowshare, and which is the extra piece of wood, you know, is being tightly fixed to Nirola with the pole. So, this is the one pole, but there is another term also being used. There are two wooden piece being used here for joining this Nirola with the pole. This is your pole or isa, what you call it, is joined. So, you will have a peg you will have to put, you can say it as basically peg which will be tightened it, and when it will move it will not really come out because it is moving in the same direction. If you look at this is a width is higher and this is the lower. So, it is as it is moving in this way, so it will be remaining fixed, it will not come out and it will be tight enough also. So, and there is another one here which is also joining this with that one, that is known as sola, and Yoktra, that is a basically a rope which is being used, and this is the portion is known as Yoktra, like which by which they can also control the movement of the oxen. It can be go to the left, it can go to right, you know, that way they can do by tying this one. So, if you look at the farmer who is plowing will have a control over the ox movement or oxen's movement, that is the thing what is being used. And Nirola Pasika, that is the plate fix the plowshare, this is the portion Nirola Pasika, right, and of course, this whatever I am showing is made of iron, right, but earlier days and even today also in some parts of the country this is made of wood, right, this Nirola Pasika, and which is around 22 centimeters in length, and of course, if you go to some other book there is also what is the width, everything is given, not in this place Kisi Parasar. And if you look at for this thing, this plowshare, I went around something 60 kilometers from the city inside, and it was very frustrating to search this and get nowadays, because most of the people are using tractor. I am afraid maybe after 10-20 years this plow which was being used in this country profusely won't be there, and there is no person. I was also asking the farmer that the person who is making is not there, because those people are jobless, so they are also not doing. So, the indigenous technology is going out of our life at a rapid rate, and this should be kept with us, because people can do, not the company. There is a difference, because here the people can also design and they can change, so that their creativity will be retained and also their need can be fulfilled. So, the knowledge will be with the people, not with a company or some specific people, set of people who will be really misusing and then scooping out the money out of this, and then whole people will be active and creative in nature, which is the basic nature of human being. Therefore, indigenous technology should be kept, and it is a very simple one, and from the nature you can make, you need not to depend on the lot of things. So, that is the important point I would like to emphasize. I will be doing it again and again, because that is the point for which, you know, I want to communicate to you, and that is my main motive that why we will go for indigenous technology and how we can make our life more creative and more purposeful and more peaceful and more what you call satisfied in satisfied life, how we can maintain it. So, the halastano, what I was telling, a strong piece of wood, this is the piece of wood, you know, what is being joined, this is known as halastano, right, fixed to the niola, this is nidiola, and to the end of opposite sidal plowshare is around something 1.1 meter. And I have shown the hastatanu here and here also, both the places you can see, and why it is given, and in because you will have to give little pressure, so that this plowshare will be entering into the soil, and it will, and this angle of the plowshare is very important, okay, So, one question might be coming to you, why you will use the plow, why not the tractor, right? That might be question to you, because tractor is more powerful, it can also till the land for at a faster rate. There are several problems with the tractors. One is there will be pollution, you will have to pay the money, not only maintenance of the tractor is very costly, and it is the pollution will be there, and you will have to depend on here. You can use you can rear the ox and their cow and cow dung, and then urine and other things you can utilize as a fertilizers, manures, and also the insecticide, pesticides, lot of things can be made indigenously, so that you need not to pay money, right? And when you rear these things, you will get lot of psychological benefits also. And I was telling that there is an angle, this halastanu, this angle is very important. See, this is having some angle here, alpha, right? And this angle should be designed properly, so that force will be getting vertically. When I make this thing, this would be having vertical force, this will be horizontal force. So, that force has to be giving some little pressure on that. Okay. So, this is, if you look at, one can also look at whether it is optimized or not, or optimally designed or not, right. But lot of work can be done on this to improve further, it is not that that is the final one. So, abandha, that is the iron wood cylindrical rod that prevent needle from falling out of the pole. There are two terms which is similar, but I think one of them will be for this and another will be that. There is a thing which I think one has to look at it. Okay. So, fala is the main thing, plowshare, which will do the job of tearing. This is the fala, and this angle to the is very important, because that angle will decide this angle, whatever it is going with that, rather this angle, if I say alpha or maybe alpha of, I can say fala or the plowshare, right, is very important, because that will decide the depth of the soil which can be taken out from the land or the ground or the field, so that it will not get into deep. And why it is so? Any idea? Why not we will make it more angle, so that it will take out the tear the land further with the depth wise, and so that it will be better. And there is also provision how much it will be. We will see that, and as compared to the tractor, this depth which can be achieved by the plow is much smaller, and that is important point, because if you look at the top soil is very important, right. It should not go to the bottom soil, and that will be affecting the what you call fertility of the soil. So, we will be discussing about later on, but you think about and also explore yourself why plow is superior as compared to the tractors, what is being trench is being used, so far the tearing the land is concerned depth wise, right. So, that is the important point one has to understand, right. So, if you look at the preparation of the soil is very important, and that is why the plow is being used, and you will have to also use manures, right, and you need also the irrigations. Irrigation means you will have to supply the necessary water what is required for a particular crop. And the plowing of field is also important, so also sowing seeds and the methodology what is being used. And as per the our text is concerned, or the scripture, whatever you call earlier text, right, there are three main activities of plantation, or you can say farming. What is that? One is of course the preparation of the soil, that is anyway you will have to do. Apart from irrigation, manuring is one, plowing is one and sowing of the seeds is, these three are important. And cultivator must, or a farmer must be well acquainted with soil, seed and season. There are 3 S if you look at, right, 3 S. And this soil is very important. He should know what kind of soil it is, what kind of crop we can have, so also the seed. Today you may be surprised to know that farmer today do not have the knowledge of seed, because they are buying from the market, right, and they do not know. But earlier days they were not only knowing the seed, and they know also how to improve the quality of seed and how to preserve it and how to get. If you look at with the genetically modified crop, which is our people are now started using, then time may come if they will terminate their propagation with the market forces, then you will sow those seeds, but you won't get the seed which can be germinated, then what will happen? The people will control this market forces or the other business people, and we do not have a control over that nature, and they will do in a lab and we do not know what they will be doing, changing. So therefore nature is important, nature should do. So lot of things are there that is being what you call, we need to preserve it and we need to keep, and I am not saying that we should not understand the process of keeping the seeds and also the improving its quality. There is a various ways of in ancient Indian or maybe other countries also. It is not only India we are having the technologies, but other people were having also. But our technology will be more akin to our place because of various reasons, so also the season. Nowadays the season is changing because of what you call global warming and climate change. Now how to go about it? Because if I use the ancient thing now, it is difficult to really do. You will have to do research and find out whether those old things, whether it will be applicable today or not, right. For that research has to be done, taking the clue from the ancient scriptures and other things. We cannot apply just copy and from the old thing and put today, it is not possible. So we will have to do that. So harrow used for preparing the seed bed after plowing and for covering the seeds after sowing, right. So this is the very important thing, so which need to be done. And it is also used for breaking of soil crust. Crust, there is something lump of soil will be there, and also for uprooting weeds. There will be some lot of weeds will be there. So you need to remove them, because that will be taking the manure from the land. Of course, people say that weeds will be better. We will be talking about intercropping and the kind of things which you can do intelligently. It will be enriching each other, right, instead of creating a problem, So that we will be talking little bit. I will be giving some flavor a bit, not because that is a big topic. So if you look at soil crust, it can be physically, it can be biologically. Biological crust is basically a living community of lichen and cyanobacteria, algae, moss growing on the soil surface. See, there is a lot of microorganisms are there, and which will be helping to grow the plants, and because it will acting as a fertilizers, and we by giving pesticide, insecticide, we are spoiling them, then we give fertilizer artificial. What we are doing, it is not the right thing. And as I told on the surface, and that bind the soil together, because these are there, therefore it is binding, it being crushed, that has to be broken. A precipitated chemical crust can develop the soil with high salt content, because there will be some soil which will be having high salt content. So therefore that may be crushed, that has to be also broken, but without spoiling this, what is the humus which is created by this microorganisms and other thing, right, which will be decomposing the plants which will there. And a blade of harrow, this is the harrow which I have shown here, right, is a blade harrow, right, 21.75 inch long and 3.12 inch width, with the 2 vertical tanks, one on each and fixed onto the flat wooden plank. This is the wooden plank was found in Sanchi, you might be knowing, in Bihar, right. And there are several other things also people have found out. And if you look at, this is the typical which I have shown, harrow which is being used, and this is a handle, one is handle, like this if you look at is a handle, and this of course will be having a hand which will be, you know, you will have to press little bit, so that it is similar to that plow hastatanu, right, this is a handle. And it is these are what you call wooden plank, this is this portion, right, this portion is basically wooden plank, right, this is number 2, and these are wooden peg, these are the pegs, 3 is the wooden peg, this is the wooden peg, right. And this peg, this will be made of basically even iron, it is not only wood, iron can be used, and this fourth one is the bamboo pole. So, you will find several of them like Kostisa in Amarkosa, Amarkosa it is a lot of words together put it is the earlier text, and Vidaka in Kishiparasar verse number 1, it consists of 9 cubit long and 21 spikes, there are several of them. Of course, the other one what we got as evidence of an ancient time, this is 2, but these are having 21, that is the people are saying. And leveler, it is made of wood and bamboo sticks, extra weight is added to all types of planks by placing stones on it or having person ride on it, like you might have seen that people are riding. For example, this is the plank, because you want to level the soil, there is a broken, now you will have to level. So, these are the plank, and this is the again handle, like kind of things, handle will be here, and these are all the bamboo poles which will there, it can be tied, and then this will be of course the wooden plank, this one, and it will be dragged by the bull. So, that this will be, I will show you, I had shown you earlier also the figure, right, and there is another one which is a simpler one. If you remember, I had shown you a picture where this having a wooden plank, and that is nothing but a leveler. So, with this I will stop over here, then in the next lecture we will be discussing about various other aspects of agriculture. Thank you very much.